All right, welcome everyone. I am so excited for this tonight. I have been you probably, if you know me, I really put a lot of stock in learning, sharpening my skills. I'm kind of a little bit of a geek about it. And I found Bob Heilig about 2 years ago now, and just really something about his training really resonated with me. I have learned so much. I've gotten so much value out of what he trains and delivers, and it really put a different spin on the way I was thinking about my business, made me feel better about my business all the time. The more I learn, the better I feel. So I want to encourage you to, if you can, come on camera so that Bob can, talk to us and get that energy back. Understand if you can't, but take notes. But don't be crazy about taking notes. I want you to be present and listen to Bob, because I think it's really what he has to say is really going to resonate with you. I will make a recording of this, so we'll have it as a training tool as well. So, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Peg. Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting this together. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to hang out with everybody tonight. So, just curious, I always love to ask this in the beginning of my session. Are any of us meeting for the first time tonight? I'm curious if we have any newbies to my message or my training. Cool. I see a couple of hands. Awesome. So that's good. I always get I get a little bit more excited when I know we have new people. So for the benefit of anybody that's brand new, I'll give you the quick little 60-second rundown on who we are and what we do. So the name of our company is actually called Your Virtual Upline. And we have a podcast called the Your Virtual Upline Podcast. We've been doing for about 7 years now. We're at about our 360th episode. It's probably the best source of our free training content. But we teach a philosophy. We have a program named after this as well. We teach a philosophy for building a network marketing, social selling business that we call Love, Serve, Grow. So we believe that those three words, those three values, are really the secret to building not only a business that's financially rewarding. I think we should all aspire to do well financially, but the people that come to us that are in our programs, our clients, our community members, they fundamentally feel like they're called to something more than just making money in this profession. And that's always been me. I've always wanted to be financially successful, but never at the expense of my values. And also I've always just been more driven by helping people. I've just always felt this really deep desire to want to transform people's lives. And so Love, Serve, Grow, we believe in 2023 has never been more important when it comes to building a business. It's a path for financial success, but also personal fulfillment. And so tonight, what I'm going to be teaching you is actually, I think it's the single most important piece of the Love, Serve, Grow puzzle that we teach. And it's around this idea of conversations. So what I'd like to present to you tonight is a very different mindset and approach to the sales conversations that you are having in your business. Now, just to be clear, when I say sales conversations, that doesn't just apply to your products, it also applies to your business, right? When we're sharing our business with somebody, we're selling them on the opportunity to join us. But the skill of selling, in my opinion, is the single most important skill in business. There's nothing that even comes close to it. And so what's interesting is, I get to work with a lot of different leaders from lots of different companies. I mean, I don't know, we have easily 30 or 40 different companies represented in our community. And what's interesting is I'm kind of hearing the same thing pretty frequently from a lot of people, and it's kind of concerning to me. And what I hear is people just telling me, leaders telling me that they just don't know what to do to get their business headed back in the right direction, right? They're working hard, they're having the conversations, they're doing all the things, they're doing things that worked really well 2-3 years ago, but they're not working as well anymore. And people are getting discouraged and are getting frustrated. And I think I know why. Because I think there is a huge shift happening in our profession right now that I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of. And here's the shift that I believe is happening. The last 5 to 7 years in our profession, it's all been about marketing, content, content, content. Do all the things everywhere all the time. And it's been a formula that has worked pretty well for a lot of people, just posting and attraction marketing and curiosity marketing and throwing our products out there on social media. And look, I get it. Like I know your company very well. And you have a very unique product that has a very compelling offer. So the natural tendency, just out of excitement and enthusiasm, would be that I've never heard a sound like that on a Zoom before. That's is that a phone? Is that me? I'm like, is that my computer? Oh, it doesn't even sound like a phone, right? It's like
Yeah, it's like a little ping. I'll try and find it.
yeah, that's not distracting at all.
I'm hardly hearing it, but if you're hearing it louder, is it possible?
Okay. That's what it is. Wow. So that's interesting. So somebody was calling me on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. So definitely don't want to answer that. So anyway, so let's get back to the message today. It's never good when random people just call you on Instagram. Now you should never answer those calls. But so here's the shift. Let's get back on track here. Sorry about that. So the shift that I believe is happening is this. It's a shift to selling. Developing what each and every one of you needs to do is you need to start focusing a lot of time on how you sell in your business. I will tell you from experience, and I could not feel more strongly about this. How you sell is so much more important than what you sell. Let me say that again. The way that you sell your product is actually more important than the product itself. Because if you sell it the wrong way, if your conversations are turning people off immediately, it doesn't matter how great your product is. They'll never actually even take the step to learn that. So the way we sell is so important. Now, there's an interesting statistic. I've been doing a lot of and by the way, what I'm teaching you tonight, this is something that we're doing in our own company because we've also seen some diminishing returns over the last year with just doing the same things we've always done. And so we've been forced to really look at the way that we sell and the way that we work with our clients. But there's some interesting data out there on consumer behavior. And I read a study just the other day. It was actually published by Shopify. And they did this huge study on e-commerce, which, that's our world. We sell on social media. And so here's what they found. I think this is really important to understand. 9 out of 10 people surveyed said that the experience of buying from a brand or a business or a company is as important to them as the actual product they're buying. So all of this is connected, right? It's how are we making people feel when we're actually selling them our stuff? It's such an important thing to understand. And so I think this shift that's happening is we need to learn how to elevate our selling skills. The way that we sold 2 to 3 years ago isn't good enough anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. I think this is why. And I think if you think of it this way, it's going to make total sense to you. I want you to think of it like this. So in 2020, when COVID hit, right? A lot of the companies that we work with, a lot of the leaders, they saw this hyper massive growth. I like to call them, they had a bunch of COVID business babies, right? There were people that just were sitting around, they were doing nothing, they had all this money, they were bored, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll do this. I can do it from home. And so we saw this really big boom, and people were selling products like crazy. And quite frankly, it did not take a lot of skill to sell in 2020. It flat out didn't. If you were just excited enough and you were just consistently having conversations, you're putting your stuff out there, you're going to sell. Here's the problem. Things have changed radically since 2020. The economy is significantly down. People are spending less money. People are struggling financially today. And so what happened is this. Think of it like this. The world has shifted. And what their expectations when it comes to the companies they do business with have risen. They're looking for more. And the problem I see is most of our clients, they're still trying to market and sell the same way they did in 2020. And this gap is why they're struggling. See, what we have to do is we have to learn how to elevate our sales skills to meet the expectations of the marketplace today. And that requires you to take a very different approach to selling. So what I'm going to share with you tonight, I truly believe is the solution. And I say that because we have been teaching this to thousands and thousands of people over the last 4 to 5 months. And people have been seeing astounding results. So what I'm going to be teaching you tonight is something that we call transformational selling. And so transformational selling, we like to think of it as it's selling with a servant heart. I think the most important thing from a mindset point of view that we all need to do this year is we actually need to stop looking at sales as selling. And we need to start thinking of sales as helping people. Sales and service are not opposites, contrary to what a lot of memes and quotes on social media might lead you to believe. Sales is the ultimate form of service when it's done correctly. But here's the missing piece for most. When we think about the way that we sell in our business, we generally speaking, we can do an okay job when it comes to selling the product. Doesn't seem, it's the lesser of the two problems. Doesn't mean that there isn't always room for improvement. But in most of our clients, what I find is where it really breaks down for them is they don't know how to sell their business to people. They don't know how to share their business with a prospect in a way that creates enough value for that person, not just wanting to join, because we've all figured out by now, joining means nothing, right? Like somebody joining you means nothing. It's, are they actually going to be willing to do the work outside of talk to the 2 or 3 people that they thought would maybe be interested in something like this when they saw it, and then they cashed that lottery ticket in and it didn't hit, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute, this is work. So I actually have to do something with this. Yeah. Like it, to get somebody like to actually see the vision and have the follow through to do the work, you have to create so much more value in their mind for why to do it. So value creation is the single most important topic today. We teach this in a very actionable way. Everybody talks about value, but very few people understand how it happens. So there are 3 separate and distinct levels of value creation when you're having a sales conversation. I'll share all 3, and then I'm really going to focus on the first 2. The lowest level of value creation in a sales conversation is product information. So when I say product information, here's what I mean. Anything that you could possibly tell somebody about your products, company, compensation plan, industry. Think of it as all the knowledge and information that we acquire over time, none of which, by the way, we knew when we signed up. We have a tendency to forget about that, right? We become experts on health and wellness and network marketing and residual income. And we didn't know a single shred of that when we said yes. But for some reason, we feel the need to, part of it is justifying what we do. Part of it is just genuine excitement because we believe in it and we want other people to get it. But what we do is we have a tendency to always lead product information, right? And there's a big issue with that. It triggers people's sales resistance. In a sales conversation, so you actually messaging somebody or talking to them, there are very few things that you can do that are more damaging to your results than pitching people too early in the process. Sharing, if you're leading with product information, you are always going to struggle when it comes to recruiting and selling. Now, you might get people to join you, right? Because you can get somebody to join you just selling them on the dream of what they could get. But there's not a very high likelihood that they're going to actually have enough vision to follow through and do the work. See, we have to change the context from which we share the information. The goal is this. It's not that product information isn't important. It obviously is an important part of somebody making a decision. But if they're feeling triggered in a conversation with you, what happens is they emotionally shut down. And a lot of times they don't even realize it. It's just our natural resistance when we feel like we're being sold. I never understood this. It used to drive me crazy. My first network marketing company I joined, I believed in the product so much. I naturally went to all my family and friends, and I gathered a bunch of, I would share something, and then somebody would give me a question. I'd be like, I don't know how to answer that question. So I would go get the answer. And then the next conversation, I'd be ready. And then when they asked the question, I give them the answer. And then they would give me an objection. I'm like, how do I handle it? So I just gathered all this like ammunition. And I would go to my family and friends, and I would like try to prove them wrong, if looking back in a lot of cases, because I felt like I was right. And I didn't understand why they treated me like such a salesperson, because I was their, their brother and their son. And what I now looking back, it's very clear. They were treating me the way I was acting. I was acting like every other salesperson they'd ever dealt with in their life, and I triggered their sales resistance. So here's what we have to do. In a sales conversation, we have to learn how to go to the second level of value creation. This, to me, in 2023, this is really where value creation and trust begins to be built. And it's what we call problem solving. You must learn to lead with problem solving, not product information. So let me give you I want to share a story with you that I think will do a really good job of painting the visual of what this looks like in actuality. So I have a coaching client of mine. Her name is Shannon, and I'm teaching Shannon how to have transformational sales conversations. And by her own admission, it's been very hard for her. She's been doing this for 15 years, and she's been so conditioned to just do it one way. And I think it's worth mentioning at this point, what I'm presenting to you tonight, I don't believe it's a right or a wrong conversation. It's not like you've been doing it wrong if you've been doing it that way. You've been doing it the way that's worked for quite a while. But I think what it is it's an acknowledgement of that the world is different and people are looking for something different. So we have to learn how to adapt our approach and elevate our skills. But she's struggling with this because she's so used to just doing it the way she always did. And so what I'll do is I'll say, okay, Shannon, your assignment is to go out and just practice what you've been learning. And so we'll hop on a Zoom call, and we hopped on a call a couple of weeks ago. She gets on. First thing she said to me, she goes, all right, I did what you said and it didn't work. And I'm like, okay, all right. That's a little surprising. I'm like, well, tell me what happened. Like, I need more information than that. So I'm like, well, give me an example of when it didn't work. So she gave me an example. And by the way, this is like a dream scenario. Any one of us would wish that something like this would happen. She goes, all right, so here's one instance. I got a message out of the blue from a customer of mine that basically she said, I've been thinking about you and your business, and I think I want to learn more. Now that's a pretty good message to get, right? And so she's like, and I was very excited. And she goes, and then once again, she goes, and I did what you said, and I never heard back from her. Now I've been doing this long enough to know that when it feels like it's not right, it's probably not right. And so I asked her, I said, okay, well, show me the conversation. I'll be the judge of whether you did what I said or not. So she pulled the conversation up, shared her screen. Sure enough, there's the message from this person. And then I see Shannon's response. Now, sometimes when you get a message and you have to keep scrolling to get to the bottom of the message because it's longer than what shows on the screen. So yeah, that was Shannon's message. So right away, I'm like, okay, I see the problem. But basically, here's what Shannon's response was. She said, I'm so excited to hear that. I would love to share with you a little bit about the company. And then she just went right into the details. There's 2 ways to get started, this way and this way. I recommend this. Here's some more information. Here's some links, bop, 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 bop. And then by the time she was done, she's like, let me know if you have any questions. And she never heard back. And I said, I'm not surprised you didn't hear back. And so I'm thinking, and I say, Shannon, in what universe do you think that is what I taught you to do? Because that is exactly the opposite of what I taught you to do, right? You led product. And she said, but she asked for it. And my answer was, I don't care if she asked for it. See, when you're selling, you are a leader. You are leading a conversation in a direction to find out if you can actually help or serve someone. And so you have a responsibility to communicate differently. So I said to her, I said, all right, Shannon, you know, in all fairness, we're just learning this. But I said, what would it have looked like if you would have led problem? Now, it was funny because she was quiet and I could see her brain working really hard because she literally could not even see a different approach to this. And I was just sat there quiet. And then all of a sudden I saw the light bulb go off. She looked up and she wasn't sure if she had the right answer. She was kind of like, you know, she goes, I mean, I guess I could have asked her why she was interested. If I would have had a bell, I would have rung it. Ding, 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 ding. Like, doesn't that feel like the obvious thing to ask? Like, you get a random message from a customer, you've never talked to her about the business before, and now she's interested. And like, there's a reason why she's sending that message. She has a problem. There is something missing in her life that has prompted her to reach out to you and send this message. And you didn't take the time to connect with her around that. That is the biggest missing piece. I look at, you know, in our program and our clients, we teach, you know, we spend a lot of time teaching selling. So we look at a lot of sales conversations. And the most common thing that I see so over and over again is you'll ask somebody a question and their answer will be some sort of an indication of a clear problem. Sometimes you need to read between the lines, but the person that was in the conversation totally missed it. Because we're so worried about what's the next thing we're going to say, what's the question, are we going to screw this up, are they going to be interested? We completely miss these opportunities to connect with people around problems. And that's where real value is built and trust happens. So I said to her, I said, all right, here's the good news. It's never too late to do it the right way. I don't care how long you've been doing it one way. You can just go back and do it a different way. So I said, go do that. She said, all right, I'm going to do it. So I don't hear from her for about a day. About a day later, she sends me a voice message, all excited. She goes, I did it and you're not going to believe it so worked. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. And so this was essentially what she said. She said, I reached out to her. I said, I'm so sorry. I never even asked you why you were interested. Let's start there. And she said, this really powerful conversation came from it. And here's what this customer told her. There's a big lesson in this. She used these exact words with Shannon. I don't need the money. It has nothing to do with money. And so what she basically shared is she was an empty nester. And she was feeling like kind of alone. Like she didn't have community and she didn't have connection. And she told Shannon, she said, I see you online with these other women. You're lifting each other up. And that seems cool to me. I don't have that. And then I thought this was really powerful. She said, and every time I interact with you around your products, you always make me feel so good about myself. And she said, I need that in my life right now. And what's even more crazy is Shannon said, she said, I didn't have a chance to look at that stuff. I don't even need to look at it. Just tell me how to get started. And you want to know why that happened? Because that woman did not feel pitched. She did not feel sold to. She was talking to another person that was listening and learning and present. And that built trust and that created value. And so I said, Shannon, what was the lesson you learned? And she goes, well, I'm not going to share my stuff with people until I at least make an effort to find out why they're interested in it in the first place. And I said, that's a pretty important lesson. See, you're going to learn when it comes to the business, people are motivated by different things. We can't just assume that people are going to be interested in the same thing we're interested in. And you also, by the way that you present your business, especially, should not be a one-size-fits-all proposition. The way you present your business should be perfectly tailored to the problems that people have and the solution that they're looking for. And so that's what transformational selling is we teach people to slow the pitch and to really learn how to connect. And what it is you're focusing on relationships. And here's the beautiful part about this. It feels so much better. Look, listen, you can tell me if I'm off here, but I'll tell you the problem that I had when I first started doing this type of a business. And I was taught that, I was taught an approach. And I'm sure the people that taught it to me were good intentioned and they thought they were helping. But I was taught that people are numbers and that it's a numbers game. My mentor told me, Bob, you just got to talk to 20 people per day. That's how you become successful. You talk 20 people per day. And I started doing that. And it felt horrible to me. And I got to a point where I'm like, this is so misaligned with my values. Like, to me, people are not numbers. They're human beings that have real problems. And a sales conversation, to me, the primary purpose is not for me to transact with you. See, for me, selling, the primary purpose is, can I help? And sometimes helping has nothing to do with you buying my stuff. See, we teach our clients and our students, every conversation you have is an opportunity for you to do three important things. An opportunity for you to love, to serve, and to help yourself and other people grow. That is a really important shift. I'll share another story with you just to continue to make this argument for what I'm teaching you. So I had this, to me, this was a defining moment in my career. This was a defining moment in my career. I struggled big time my first year in this profession. I didn't recruit a single person. That was not for a lack of effort. I was talked to everybody that I knew. Nothing I said seemed to matter. I already told you my approach. Let me gather all this information. Let me become a great presenter. And I'll just beat you into submission. I'll handle every objection. I'll close. It wasn't working. So I remember I was in medical sales at the time. I met another sales rep in a doctor's office. And it was one of, sometimes you meet people and you just connect right away. You can just tell you're very alike. And so I had this experience and I exchanged cards with this guy, call him up a day later. I'm like, hey, let's go have coffee. I'd love to get to know you better. And I had done that many, many times in my first year. That was my thing. Get a sales rep's card, go meet him at a Starbucks, sit down, do my song and dance, pitch, see if they're interested. They're not interested. And I remember going to this meeting thinking, I'm going to do something different this time. Because clearly what I had been doing hadn't worked. And it wasn't an intentional thing. It just felt right. So I walked into this meeting, not with my samples, not with my presentation materials. I just sat down and I just got to know him. I asked him, I remember driving there thinking to myself, I'm going to ask him this question because I wonder if his company is like my company. And I wonder if insurances have impacted his his commissions. And I'm going to ask him this question. And I already knew the questions going in. So I went in and I was just present and I focused on him. I asked him questions. We connected, we shared, we talked about our fears, our goals. It was a really cool experience. Towards the end of the hour, he cuts me off mid-sentence. Now, mind you, I'm in a Starbucks. It's not a big Starbucks. So there's other people around us. We're at this table. We're 3 feet apart. Cuts me off mid-sentence, looks me right in the eyes and says, all right, I'm in. Now, I was like, what do you mean you're in what? I haven't said one thing to you about anything that I do, right? And he could tell that I was confused. And so he looks at me and he says, well, I'm in, just sign me up. Now, at this point, I'm laughing. I'm starting to laugh because I'm thinking, this is a practical joke. This is not really happening. Like, I'm looking around, I'm waiting for like my sideline friends to come running in and start laughing. I'm like, this is not happening. I'm like looking at the other people next to me. And I say to him, I said, half laughing, I go, don't you even want to know what it is? And his answer to me changed my life forever when it came to selling and my business. He looks at me straight face, dead in the eye. He says, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He said, it doesn't matter because I believe that you can help me. And if you're doing it, I want to do it too. Now, I learned a couple of very important lessons about selling that day. The first thing, and I didn't realize this at the time, I was selling in that meeting. I was just selling something different. I wasn't selling my amazing products that were the best in the world. I wasn't selling my top compensation plan and the 5 different ways you get paid. And I wasn't selling him on network marketing and residual. I was selling him on me as somebody that cared enough to get to know him, to learn his problems, to connect with him around his problems, and challenge him to start thinking bigger. And that's the second lesson that I learned, which is how you really build value and create trust in a sales conversation. It's not by talking and telling, it's by listening and learning. There's actually, this is brain science. There's studies on this. The more we talk at people, the more disconnected they feel to us. And so what we have to learn how to do, we like to call transformational selling. We call it selling from presence. What most people do is they sell from pressure. That's what sales conversations feel like to the other person when you're sharing your product information, you're handling objections, we're pressuring people towards this desired result that we want. But the problem is we're not really listening to people. And so as a general idea, if you can do this, if all you did, and understand, I'm just introducing you to this concept tonight. This is a skill that, I mean, we spend months with our clients. It starts with them unlearning most of what they've done, but we spend a very long time just getting people to do this. But if you just went into a conversation thinking, can I help versus can I sell? Big difference. Here's the last piece of this I'll share with you. So inevitably what comes up is this. People always have the natural question is, well, how do I know the problems that I solve? We kind of have an idea when it comes to our products, right? Because most of us have some sort of a product story, right? That we could share, and we typically do share. But when it comes to the business, we usually struggle with that. And the reason why we struggle is because the average person has not really created the kind of success or results that they want. So they always feel like we're not as credible in that area. And how can we help somebody do something that we haven't done ourselves? And I will tell you, this is a complete wrong perspective that you have in your business right now. I think the biggest realization that what we teach with transformational selling, what we help people come to, is this: who you're actually looking for. You are your ideal prospect. You are the person that you're looking for. Now, for some of you, it's not the version of who you are today. It's the version of you right before you started your journey. Some of you may have been in this company, or you may have been in this industry for a while, and we look at the kind of person you are today and your values, your beliefs, the things that motivate you. You're looking for you. Now, if you realize that, what comes with that is a different level of confidence around your ability to have conversations. See, I'll tell you what this industry, and I'll tell you what your company really is. It's a personal transformation program with a compensation plan. You're not in the health and wellness business. You're not in the supplement business. You are in the transformation business. Your products are just an opportunity for you to get your foot in the door, to build relationships with your customers, and to serve them to help them grow and become better. People say, well, Bob, I don't know, how do I talk about my business on social media? And my answer is pretty simple. Don't. Now talk about your products, right? I think you should be creating content around your products. Don't do it in a way that's overly promotional. That's a whole, by the way, that's a separate training for another night. I'm not going to open up that go down that wormhole for right now. But people say, well, how do I share my business and my success? I go, you don't. You want to know what you share? Don't talk about your comp plan. Nobody cares about your comp plan, by the way. Nobody cares. You think you have the best comp plan in the world? Nobody cares. Trust me. The only people that care? Other network marketers that are struggling in their company, that are looking to go somewhere else thinking it'll be easier here than it is there. Professional type people, the kind of people that, by the way, you'll have access to this year like you never have before because of the economy. They are not looking, like, they don't want to go on social media and tell people they just got paid. That's another thing that drives me crazy. Like, why do we always feel the need to tell people we got paid? No other profession in the world does this, right? There are these commonly accepted practices. And look, I've done it before. I just didn't know any different. But we teach these things and we do these things. We never ask ourselves, are they the right things to actually do? But we come back to this idea is that what we share is our personal transformation journey. See, the most important thing all of you can do content-wise this year is bring more of yourself into your content and stop hiding behind your products. It's really easy for you to talk about your products and how great your products are. But when you're talking about how great your products are, you don't have to talk about yourself. And that's the missing piece for many of you. Authenticity is what builds trust through content. And so the last thing I'll share is this. Anytime I start talking about this, you are your ideal prospect. You're the person you're looking for. I know there's always a handful of people in the room that kind of struggle with that idea. Because I was one of them for a while. Here I am, I'm a year into my business. And mind you, I was in sales. I couldn't sell a single living soul to join me in my business, thinking I'm a total failure. The idea of, yeah, Bob, you're looking for you. Okay, great. Why? So I can build a whole team of failures that can't even recruit somebody? Like, where's that going to get me? And so I know that there's always people that struggle with this, but I want to say something to you if that's you. If you struggle with this idea that you are who you're looking for. And let me preface it by saying this. Peg knows me. Some of you know me, but not all of you know me. So I feel like I need to give a disclaimer along with what I'm about to say. I practice what I preach. I live and lead from love in everything that I do. And I know that sometimes that bears a great responsibility in a scenario like this, because it means that sometimes I need to say things to people that they might not want to hear, but that they need to hear to help them grow. And so let's chalk that up into the column of one of these things. And here's what it is. If you do not think that you are the person that you're looking for, as long as you continue to believe that, you will never be successful in this company. And you can go to another company thinking this company was the problem. You will fail there as well. And you can work as hard as you want. You can talk to as many people as you want. You can listen to as many podcasts and read as many books and do as many manifestations and prayers as you want. You will never be successful. Because here's the truth of it. Just think of it like this. How can you possibly expect somebody else to trust you enough to join your team out of the millions of other people in the world that are trying to do something similar if you don't even trust yourself? This is the reason why we say the first and the most important sale that you will ever make in your business is selling yourself on you. Now, the catch is it ain't a one-time sale. You have to make that sale every day. But if you're not, if we stop focusing on what we're not, if we stop focusing on our failures, and if we stop defining success by the results of our business, and we shift our definition of success to be aligned with what it really is, success in our world is love, and it is serving, and it is growth. It is a process. You change your perspective, you watch how different you feel. And knowing that there are so many other, like, you have a story and you have a journey that has led you to this point. And I don't know you, but there's not a single one of you here that can't tell me without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what your results say, that you aren't fundamentally a transformed person today because of this company and because of this industry. You need to start recognizing that as the greatest gift that you have, and you need to start sharing that in a bigger way with the world. So, Peg, over to you.
All right, Bob, I don't usually say this, but I'm urged to say amen. So that was so good. I love the way you wrapped it up. And I am so grateful for you and what you are doing for the industry. And I'm super, there are many people here that are very familiar with you. If you're not, I'm really honored that you had faith in me and came tonight. And I hope you really got a lot of value out of this. And make sure you follow Bob on Instagram. Bob, I can't believe what you're doing, like every Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I just put my Instagram account in the chat.
Perfect.
So I would love it if we could stay connected outside of tonight, especially if this whole love, serve, growth thing feels aligned with the way you want to build a business. I go live on Instagram every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., 15 to 20 minutes, coaching, teaching, stories, inspiration. We're just trying to, we believe that love, serve, grow is the solution, and we want to get it out to as many people as possible. And then the other thing would be the podcast. It's called the Your Virtual Upline podcast. Also a really great source of just free content and information from us. But Peg, thank you so much for having me here tonight. And it was great hanging out with everyone and meeting some of you for the first time. Hopefully we'll stay connected outside of tonight. And if there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Peg.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Peg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome,
Thank
Zoom.
you.
Awesome.
Thank
Hey,
you,
Peg,
everyone.
is that 9 a.m. Eastern?
9 a.m. Eastern. Yep, on Instagram.
Thank you.
Next week he's on vacation, so he won't be doing next week. So tomorrow will be the last day for now. So
For this.
you
Okay,
guys have a
cool.
great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.